Screw your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
I think you guys deserve both Mr. T and Jack Nicholson for the disclaimer today. So you got a 1-2 punch there from Mr. T. And that guy pities the fool. I pity the fool that ever came up against Mr. T. That was just incredible. Folks, today was full of oh schnit moments. We got more coming, folks, more and more coming. Oh my gosh, I got Rudy, the Urban Aboriginal, sending me a text right as the show starts. Rudy, I'll get back to you later, man. As usual, you get a hold of me and I'm out. I'm running about. Folks, there's a lot of you out there providing information. I love it. I'm digesting it. I'm bringing it in. Sometimes all I can do is see your text or your email, and it goes into the subconscious, the prepared subconscious mind, and I work on it when I sleep, when I shower, whatever. But it's gotten bad. Now, I got a big one. Remember, I love the big enchiladas. Oh, by the way, this is the Q&A on Patreon only. Hey, folks, $2, not a day, not $2 a week. It's $2 a month. It is 7 cents a day. Go to patreon.com, sign up at The Prepared Mind, and then come to that channel every day, Monday through Friday, and you, that's right, you too can join in with question and answer. And what the heck is going on? Whew, that was a big one. All right, yeah, we got Q&A every single day. And let's get to it. What have we got going? Are you ready? You guys know what the Dominion machines are. Those are the voting machines that were used in 2020. They're the voting machines that are going to be used in 2022. I think those voting machines were used in 2016, but it's Dominion and their executive. I don't know if he's the CEO, the CIO, the CFO, or the EIEIO, but old McDominion had an executive named Eric Coomer. You have heard his name. He is the face of Dominion. This jackass was arrested, folks. He was put in handcuffs and arrested, of all places to get arrested. It's not like he was getting lap dances and not paying the strippers in Vegas. You know, we can't forgive him for that. Let's see, what else could he do that we could forgive him? Oh, he could have been protesting with BLM and Antifa. You know, we'd have to forgive him for that, for being a good virtue signaling executive white guy. But that wasn't what he was doing. There's a video out there, folks. We got some body cam footage. It appears that Eric Coomer, the executive big mouth for Dominion voting machines, who I think has been lying his ass off. He drove a truck into a bar. Not drive to a bar and go in, but he drove his truck into a bar. Then he fled the scene, and then he lied to the police. But it's cool, you know, everyone makes mistakes, just like Bill Clinton. You know, he smoked some marijuana, but he didn't inhale, right? Well, you know, it's okay. We can trust this guy. We can trust him with the voting system for the entire United States of America. Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. It has hit the fan, folks. These people really are fucking lunatics, right? This guy is handling the voting system for the world's most powerful empire in the history of civilization. He's a drunkard. He's an idiot. He runs from the scene. First of all, it's irresponsible to run into a bar. That's alcohol abuse. Number two, you don't flee a scene. That's called hit and run, right? I'm familiar with that these days. Number three, he lied to the police. That's 3 strikes and you're out. But it's cool. Let's let him handle the next election here coming up in November. We can trust this clown. Folks, there is so much going on in the voting stuff I'm not allowed to talk about. I'm not allowed to talk about it. But they're having a few problems with what happened up in Wisconsin. It's coming out, folks, right? When you get enough SHTF stains in your underwear, they just don't come out. And there's an awful lot of staining going on. That's a pretty picture, isn't it? And to one of you out there, you recognize this shirt. One of my favorite shirts, the big orange. Now, I've gotten several comments today, folks, several comments. You know, I'm looking at the body count for Ukraine, and it's just not quite adding up. Well, I guess the numbers just don't add up a lot these days, do they? The last couple of years, how many people are dying, what they died from, how many people choked on a hot dog, crashed their tricycle, fell down the stairs, or skydived without a parachute, right? And then how many people died, right? They can't get their numbers right. We're supposed to believe that Putin, great-great-great-grandson of Ivan the Terrible of Russia, right? He makes Vlad the Impaler in Transylvania look like a rough amateur, right? We're supposed to believe that the Russians are these killers. Well, they're telling the citizens of Kiev, Ukraine, to evacuate the city because they're going to strike the city's communications centers. Now, when the Nazis took Ukraine, and it took 3 weeks, by the way, they just mowed through and just killed everybody, civilians, women, children, dogs, cats, everybody. They just slaughtered everybody. It still took them 3 weeks to get to Kiev. It's a lot of killing. You know, people didn't stand around and go, check out my cardboard cutout gun. And Instagram models didn't go, I'm going to fight off the bad Russians with my makeup and perfectly coiffed hair. And by the way, thank you for the new clothes. No, not that, right? They just ran from the Nazis. Well, the Russians are like, we're not coming into the town. We're going to bomb strategic locations. I remember when the United States of America did that, and they called it strategic targeting using smart weapons. Remember when that first came out? Smart bombs were like, holy cow. You mean you just don't put them in a tube and just kind of poof, launch them in the air and see where they come down? Adjust fire? No. The smart weapons, laser guided. Looks like Putin's doing that. He's not trying to kill all the civilians. So even though they're trying to create the picture of mass hysteria, mass murder, Russians just running around mowing down grandmas and grandpas, right? I keep getting asked, where are the death counts? The mainstream media, they're not doing a very good job. I mean, they did a great job showing hospital rooms full of body bags that nurses had to pick their way through. And it's like, and action, pretend like you're in a room full of dead bodies. Yeah, I know it should stink and it doesn't, but they're not real, right? This act like you're scared and upset over the scene. Psst, act, and they're not even doing a good job of that in Kiev. They are getting a few select people to stand in front of a camera and just basically lie to us. In other words, folks, the propaganda is on both sides. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for any of this stuff. Here's another one, right? Boy, is the SHTF getting thick, right? The schnit is thick. China. You ready for this one? China is extremely concerned about rising civilian death toll. I think they're up to 200 or something. How many of these people that are part of the death toll in Ukraine come as a result of gangs and criminals being given fully automatic weapons by their own president? Whoops-a-daisy. Yeah. So China's extremely concerned. Is this the same China that is extremely concerned about the tens of millions of its own people that it murdered of its own? Is that the China we're supposed to really believe at this point? The same China that's like, we've owned Taiwan forever. Taiwan was never a separate place. We're going to go invade that and stop antagonizing us, and we'll take that if we want it. And if you mess with us, United States, we're gonna hurt you too, right? So China is basically making an even further grab at Taiwan, trying to use what's going on as an excuse, as justification for its aggressive interests in Taiwan, like flying jets over the top of Taiwan. That'd be kind of like Russia flying jets over the top of, I don't know, East Germany. Yeah. China really cares, folks. Is it or is it not propaganda and lies? Now, what is real is inflation. What is real is an energy crisis. What is real, right, is the United Nations and Europe hamming it up like a third grade play doing Macbeth. Can you imagine that? Third graders doing Macbeth? By the way, for all you youngsters, that's a Shakespeare thing, right? I don't know, man. I was doing Shakespeare in 7th freaking grade. I don't know what kids do anymore. All right. Okay. Shit's getting thick, right? You want more? I got more. It's coming. Everyone's focusing on Ukraine. And I want to thank, Christine Bihana for sending me this one. With everyone paying attention to Ukraine, the Taliban has decided it's going to conduct door-to-door raids in Kabul. The Taliban claims they're arresting criminals, but a criminal to the Taliban is not what we in, I don't know, the United States, Canada, Europe, or even Russia, what we consider to be and think of as criminal, right? They are a theocracy, aka a religiously run, a religious doctrine regulated government, right? This is a scary item because it's being done in the Middle East. So yeah, I trust the Taliban as much as I trust China, as much as I trust the mainstream media. Wow. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Do you have a plan? Share this internet address up here. Share it with others so they too can wake up, get prepared, and then prep to action. Same story, folks. This is our mission here. Waking people up, getting them prepared, and then taking action on their own behalf. Yeah, because no one else is going to do it for us, right? This dinner ain't going to cook itself. This mortgage isn't going to pay itself. And this SHTF is not going to go away on its own. They never, ever do. When it hits the fan, when tyranny is in control, folks, it just doesn't go away. It gets worse and worse and worse. Now, what is really happening in Ukraine? Let me give you this. Zero Hedge reports that there is a miles-long Russian infantry and tank convoy heading for Kiev. Ceasefire talks are expected on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. That sounds like a factual news story that I can sink my teeth into. In order to win a war, you have to occupy the capital. Am I calling this a war? This is the denazification of Ukraine, or you could say the hostile takeover by a Russian expansionist program. Russia, it's not the USSR, but I guess, I don't know, maybe we're supposed to believe that. I am not quaking in my little space boots here. Not doing it, not quaking. Wouldn't be prudent. I'm not afraid of Russia back here in the United States of America. Now, there is a chance. there's a chance of a false flag, nuclear weapon going off here in the United States. I want you to be aware of that. Do you have the appropriate potassium iodide pills in case we have a radiation burst somewhere? The reason you take that is you have thyroid. You take that potassium iodide, it fills the thyroid so it can't absorb anymore because there is radioactive, I think, cesium in nuclear fallout, and that gets into the thyroid. It doesn't leave and it gives you cancer. Then you lose your thyroid. You can die from that. So if you take the potassium iodide, then you're done. You can order that on Amazon. It's cheap too. I mean, we're talking cheap. It is cheaper than horse paste. That's how cheap it is. In fact, I have a lot of it. I have enough to give myself and probably several other people in case there is some sort of, nuclear burst. Let's see, what else do you need? Oh, a lot of sunscreen and a gas mask that is NBC rated. Go to the preparedmind.club for that as well. Man, somebody get the address on Amazon for the potassium iodide little pill packs. It's like a 10-pack or a 14-pack of pills, a little aluminum foil thing. You take like one a day for a week, nuclear war. The other one is if you're too close to the bomb, nothing's really going to help, right? When you're burnt to a crisp and you're oranger than my shirt, you don't have much help. But I think that's a very, very, very slim thing. Because if a nuke bursts over the U.S., there's a good chance a nuke will burst over Kremlin and take out that cute little building with all the colorful little spires on it, right? Nobody wants that. There are lunatics out there, though, folks. And is it worth starting World War III, risking nuclear exchange after nuclear exchange, just so the World Economic Forum and the globalist elites can continue to plunder and rape Ukraine? Right? They had Afghanistan. For some reason, they decided they don't want it anymore. They had Iraq. I guess they don't want it anymore. Anti-radiation tablets from My Patriot Supply, Rutro. There is a link right there. If you hit that link, it'll take you to My Patriot Supply. And if there is a discount to be had as being a member of Prepared Mind, bam, 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 there it is. Hopefully there's a clickable link. I don't know how that works. Anyways, thank you, Jolene. You are all over it. That is why you make the big bucks selling Girl Scout cookies. In fact, I need some Girl Scout cookies. I haven't had a shortbread cookie in like 5 years. Actually, I'm not allowed to eat cookies because of, carbohydrates. Bad stuff. Good stuff, but I love Girl Scout cookies. Okay, moving on, if we shall. What do we talk about next? Get your questions into Jolene, because I'm sure you have some things you want to talk about. See, this is more than just about taking over Ukraine. This is about creating an energy crisis. Now, it's funny. The World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, guys like John F. Kerry, who the other day were going, don't forget about climate, the climate disaster. Everyone be afraid of that. And then you've got the booster rooster. Everyone get your 4th booster. It's very important. Oh, man. In fact, John, I want to thank John M. He got me the picture of Dr. Fauci doing the Dr. Evil meme. I was supposed to put it in the clips. I just haven't had time. I've got witnesses. Somebody saw me doing, Bentley the cat saw me doing stuff all day. I've been working and sweating like crazy. Look at this. It's hot. It's hot down here in the prepared bunker. All right. So is this military conflict in the Ukraine is causing energy prices to go up. Who do you think that benefits, folks? The oil companies, right? You bet. It's going to put the squeeze on Russia if they can't sell. Now, so far, there's lots of exceptions so that Russia can continue to sell oil and natural gas to Europe, China, the United States of America. You betcha. But what if they were to cut that off? What if they were to cut off quit lying to us and really cut everything off, including the nuclear fuel. That's right, folks. Did you know that like 70% of France, it doesn't run on coal? 70% of France doesn't run on windmills or solar panels. 70% of France does not run on the gases coming off the fromage, the cheese. They got some smelly cheese in France, God bless them. But no, it's nuclear power in France. And they are doubling down, and they're going to build 14 more massive reactors. France actually exports energy to the rest of the continent. Now, Germany, right? Germany did a giant energy mea culpa, right? They're going to have to do a full energy policy amid this crisis, right? Right? Remember when, just like a month ago, it was like, we need zero carbon or we're all going to die, right? Where's Gretchen, the climate Grinch, right now, right? Shouldn't she be on her knees going, no, no, right? So zero carbon is toast in Germany because of Putin. They've got their bad guy. Folks, I think the Cold War might be restarted. And so Germany is going to resort to coal power, man. They're going to burn the coal. And they're even thinking about redoing their nuclear attitude. Like Germany is the one country in Europe that is like anti-nuclear, even though it produces like zero carbon because it's just sitting there fissioning, I guess. It's like pouring pop rocks in a Coke. It just fizzes and foams and shit. I know. I'm not a scientist. We need to trust the science. We need to get Bill Nye, the science guy, to explain the science. Oh, wait a moment. How did we miss that? Somebody get on this right now. We need a meme created with we need Dr. Fauci and Bill Nye, the science guy, in a battle of wits, like from The Princess Bride, right? Because it's like witless versus the witless, the science guy versus the guy who claims he's science. And they're both always wrong. I love it. Someone's going to do it. Someone's got to do it. Okay. Normally, I'm not in charge of making memes. I just laugh and pass them along. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. NASA is pledging to put a woman and a person of color on the moon by 2025. The moon. We're going back to the moon. You know, when Kennedy announced that in like 1960, it took him 9.5 years to get there. NASA, not even the president, says, we're going to send a person of color because the moon gives a shit. And we're going to send a woman, because the moon gives a shit. Talk about a bunch of virtue signaling crap. Now, I'm going to wish them good luck. Are we going to cook a person of color and a woman in the Van Allen belts this time? Or are we going to fake it? Totally. Now, I'm not talking about fake moon landing conspiracy theories, folks. I'm going to talk about a NASA video where a NASA astronaut is talking about the new space capsule they're developing. Guess what? They can't figure out how to get through the Van Allen belts. They admit it. They're like, it's got so much radiation. We've got to protect the astronauts going through it out. And then also when they come back. It's hard work figuring this shit out. You know what? They figured it out in the 1960s with some aluminum foil and some Scotch tape. Look at the pictures, folks. Go look at the pictures. Anyways, I just couldn't resist. Had to jump back on that conspiracy bandwagon a little more and say, really? 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 In 3 years, we're going to send someone back to the moon. I mean, this time, are they going to send them with the Jeep or, hey, that Jeep on the moon, right? That moon buggy, that was like the world's first EV. You just can't make some of this shit up. They need to distract us with this. This is important. I guess it is. I guess this is really important. NASA in the middle of the start of the Cold War in an energy crisis. NASA wants to tell us how they're going to virtue signal their way into deep space. Unbelievable. I mean, it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. Actually, it does. Remember when the New World Order was a conspiracy theory? Never mind the John Birch Society, who for decades was warning people about the United Nations and how awful it was. Never mind Alex Jones, who for decades warned people about the threats and risks of the United Nations, the advent of the New World Order. Never mind the Spotlight newspaper coming out and warning us about the Bilderbergs, the Trilaterals, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Club of Rome. A lot of you old-time conspiracy buffs know what I'm talking about. The Spotlight was warning us about them and the threats and risks of globalism, world fascism. That's all a conspiracy theory. Even when the President of the United States, George H.W. Bush, the dad, stood up in front of God and the world on, of all things, the State of the Union, and talked glowingly about a new world order, 1,000 points of light, all that shit. And everyone's just looking and go, what is this clown talking about? Well, he was talking the talk. And we will get that new world order, right? Yeah, looks like they're trying pretty damn hard here, 30 years later. Well, Fox News interviewed a member of parliament from Ukraine who said, quote, "We not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order." There's a shocker, right? New world order, great reset. That's what they're fighting for. New world order is global corporations working closely with governments to screw everyone over, AKA Nazi-style fascism, social fascism. Nazis, crony capitalism, if you will. And what did Putin say he was battling? What does he say he's going to rout out of there? More Nazis. The denazification of Ukraine is underway, folks. I mean, look, if there's actually Nazis out there, whether they wear a uniform or not, they're bad guys, right? I mean, what was the deal with the Nazis? They wanted to kill as many people as they could that they didn't like. The Jim Jones juice is killing a lot of people that they don't like. Yeah, okay. Yeah, don't do the math there. Hey, get this. Not only did Zelensky of Ukraine, not only did he arm anyone who shows up and says they want a gun, right? Gang members, immigrants, anybody. Right? Guess what? He's also said he's going to arm prisoners who have combat experience. These are guys you can trust, well-trained criminals who have combat experience. That is, you got no problem squeezing a trigger, right? Now, of course, in a situation of self-defense and all that, you better be able to pull the trigger. Still not everyone can. But what Zelensky wants to do is take prisoners out of jail, arm them, and then drop them into the hottest spots of the war. In other words, drop them right on top of the Russians. I don't know if this is brilliant, cruel. He's as desperate as Hitler was in 1945 as the Allies were coming upon Berlin from both the West and the Russians in the East. I'm sorry, Soviets. There's a big difference between Soviets and the Russians, right? But anyways, Zelensky says they can fight this fight to compensate for their guilt. You know what? If I was in prison in Ukraine, I probably wouldn't be a happy guy. I'd be like, go ahead and drop me, dude, drop me. And then I would like run the other way because like a a company that 100, 200, right? Criminals with guns, right, dropped all over the Russians. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to get rid of the criminals, that's for sure. They might kill a few Russians, that's for sure. They're going to drop them in the hottest spots. Unbelievable. Talk about your SHTF hotspots. Good golly. Yeah, now New York City's mayor, the new mayor Adams, another one of these radical racist idiots. They're ending the Cerveza bug passport rule. I guess it was a failure. And lastly, I got to get to this. I got to get to it. Get your questions into Jolene. We're about ready to get to you guys. There's someone who spoke out about Ukraine, and he said, the U.S. must do, quote, whatever possible to block what Russia's trying to do. So go ahead and read any of George Soros's tweets. Read them all. Read some of them. If he said it, it's a lie. Right? The best way to tell if George Soros is lying is if his lips are moving. Right? He has been kicked out of some nations and declared a criminal and enemy of the state. Doubt me? Why don't you go type into your favorite search engine, Hungary, George Soros, arrest warrant. Look up how much Soros is admired and appreciated for what he did with protesters in Romania. I don't have to make this shit up, folks. We got more on the way, more coming, but hey, it is now your turn. What do you want to talk about? Let's get to the Q&A.
Are you ready?
Wow, Jolene, if you would, let me know how the picture and audio quality is in a message. Hit me with a private message after the show and let me know. We're making some changes. We're tuning some stuff up. I got a couple of aluminum foil antennas on my rabbit ears so I can broadcast out of here a little better, I think. All right, we got Latin American Preparedness checking in. He says, we need to keep preparing. We will never be fully prepared. There is always something we need to add to our preps. What are your suggestions for people planning to continuously add to their preps? Okay, this is an excellent point to bring up because, yeah, you have to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. You have to have a plan. Understand that world around you, right? You, right here. There we are, right in the middle. 10-mile radius around you. If we get a hot spot of our own, you are going to have to worry about who's near you. Now, the best way to discover what is missing is to do this. Turn off the electricity to your house for the weekend and don't turn it back on. Turn off the water to your house for the weekend and do not turn it back on. And see how long you can make it. You may realize that you need to add books or magazines, pencil and paper to your preps. Test your solar panel and your battery system and your inverter system. Test them from time to time and make sure they work for one and that they're enough for two. You may, when you originally got your solar panel, if you even have yet, you may have got something that would work for the equipment you had then, but maybe now you have extra radios, extra handheld or portable electronic devices. You may have extra walkie-talkies, right? You may have a small refrigerator, kind of like I had at the RMZ. Way back then, folks, I had a refrigerator that was, like a cooler. It was the size of a cooler. Like a beer cooler, a party cooler, something you put in your little boat. I think it was 56 liters total. Was it? Whatever it was, it wasn't that big, but it was enough to keep a couple of beers cold for me during the day and keep a sandwich going, keep it cold. But I ran that off of a 325 watt solar system with a battery and an inverter. And it was enough to run a laptop, a phone, and that refrigerator and not run the battery down and keep everything nice and cool, even on 90-degree days in the jungle there. So again, test your equipment, test yourselves, test your planning, your preparation, your ability to deal with the stress, right? Again, you may have wife, children, or husband and children for that matter. You may have your adult parents with you and say, hey, we're going to do a test of the emergency preparedness system. Beep. Remember that when those used to come on TV? Beep. Right? If this is just a test. But if there were an actual emergency, some jackass from some bureaucracy would come on here and tell you what you're supposed to think and do. In the event of a nuclear war, put your head between your legs and kiss your ass. That was the old system. Right now, you are responsible for testing yourself. Now, if you can make it more than 6 hours, you've done great. If you make it more than 24, I commend you. And if you make it from Friday night to Sunday night, you are a badass prepper. And you will discover something you want or need. Do you have candy? Candy, literally candy. For the kids, something to chew on, chewing gum. Because you're going to be nervous as all get up in SHTF. Right? If you're a smoker, you got cigarettes? You got enough cigarettes to make it? You got enough? Just telling you, do it and find out what your particular needs are and what you, right, need to improve. Let's move on if we shall. That's a great topic, though. Thank you, Latin American Preparedness. We got the Slim One checking in. He says, shirts, can we do a they only take guns from prisoners and slaves with some pics of prior slaves and prisoners? I like that topic. I know I'm supposed to be doing another shirt, but folks, I literally, I work and 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 I work. I haven't even had time to do the next t-shirt, but I think I like that. They only take guns from prisoners and slaves. We could probably put a picture of, let's see, Hitler and Stalin and Obama and Biden, because, yeah, at some way here, when they take your gun, you are now a slave. Just ask the people of Canada. They're now whimpering and kneeling. I know, not for real, but if they wanted to, they could, in front of a little man girl named Justin Trudeau. Right? He's not even a man bear pig. He is a man girl or a girly man. Right? That's what he is. But the people of Canada are cowering before him. They don't have guns. Australia, they don't have guns. New Zealand, they don't have guns. Right? Only slaves, right, have to submit. Free men and women don't have to bend the knee, even though it's an excellent way to steady your rifle to make an accurate shot. Did that as a Marine quite a bit. Let's move on. Thank you, Slim One. Good idea. Uman, Kaz. Maybe you guys will come up with a cool design. Do that silhouette thing on some more sports shirts. We got Sean Smith checking in. He says, simplify, John. Got a question. Are there any congressmen, senators, or governors standing up for or riding in with the convoy? Also, what are your thoughts on bikers falling in with the truckers? Start with senator, governor, congressman, politicians. There is a politician. He's running for Senate, I think in the state of Tennessee, and he is joining the convoy. I can't remember his name. I did not save that story, folks. The convoy's coming. It's important. It's not going to be a big deal until they reach DC and, heaven forbid, a problem arises. And then the mainstream media will be all over it calling you a bad person. And they'll use bad words to call you, right? To divide and conquer, to demonize so they can justify the destruction of you. That's right. Now, yes, so there are politicians, and as far as I'm concerned, there aren't enough. They're too busy virtue signaling and screaming that Russia is evil. Have they stopped for 1 second to literally, legitimately examine the complaints in Ukraine? What is really happening there? Little kittens, Mitt Romney, Nancy Pants, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Biden clan, the entire American bureaucratic diplomacy team has been over there setting up deals for corporations. Why don't we have an investigation into that? Or maybe Joe Biden will say, hey, if you do that, I'm going to withhold your funds. You better call off your dogs. I'm my boy. Unbelievable. Now, second part, my thoughts on bikers falling in with the truckers. I would love that. Folks, I love bikers. I do. Not in some kind of gay way. So what I should say is I appreciate and value their rugged independence, their no-nonsense approach, their colorful and vibrant language. The fact that they have for years and years, even decades and decades, right, always questioned authority. And they've done so in a way, folks, that is very interesting. Now, the original Hell's Angels, folks, right? You've heard of that veritable bikers gang. The original Hell's Angels were started by veterans. That's right, folks. Veterans of World War II were the original American biker gangs. They came back. They didn't really fit in real well. Pretty, this whole PTSD, it's existed, folks. It wasn't just made up a couple of years ago. It's a real thing. And so they sought camaraderie with one another. And they took military motorcycles and other motorcycles, and they chopped all the, shall we say, superfluous parts off of them. They kind of redesigned them, customized them, and that's where the term choppers came up, right? They took old government Harleys and chopped them up into little bits and pieces and made them into their own machine, their own way of thinking about motorcycles, which has forever changed motorcycle design around the world. And bikers and the attitude that comes with them has forever changed and should always, right, cause us to look at things a little differently. Again, the original Hells Angels, bikers from battle, veterans. Thank you for the great topic there, Sean. Let us move on if we shall. Get your questions into Jolene. We've got some nasty going on out there. I want to thank you guys for supporting me here at the Prepared Mind, supporting Jolene, literally supporting us, keeping the lights on in the bunker, keeping the spam in the pantry. I want to thank John Lord again for his excellent contribution in that regard. Thank Rudy, the urban aboriginal, for his contributions, and many of you, many. See, I started it. Once I start the names, I don't want to forget anyone, folks. There's too many of you. There's literally dozens every day, and dozens and dozens and dozens. They get a hold of me, and I try and keep up. Don't give up. Keep doing what you do. Spread the word. All right, we got Johnny checking in. He says the UN will be, quote, pulling plugs on independent servers for alternative news. They have exposed these plans to do so weeks ago. Possibility of being implemented soon. Okay. There you have it. Right? Putin says, don't let these Nazis use you as human shields. He said that to the Ukraine army. Right? Ukraine army. Why would he say that? Right? Well, he's got his own propaganda campaign, but we need to know what he's saying so we can understand what he's up to. Right? We've got Senator Mark Warner, a massive United States federal Democrat. He says, I'm concerned about Russian disinformation spreading online. So today I wrote the CEOs of major tech companies. Government individuals talking to CEOs, telling them what to do. What does that have to do with free speech? Well, they want to say it's dangerous disinformation. Spreading online. Well, we can only have it spread by the mainstream media. How many times has CNN faked war footage? Wasn't it Brian Williams that claimed to be in a chopper that was taking enemy fire back in Iraq? How many times, right, do we have to be Geraldo Rivera in Al Capone's vaults and just tricked into watching their garbage? Unbelievable, folks, right? Again, this senator may as well come out and said the American people will hear and speak only the words we tell them to speak. And yeah, the UN wants to get involved. Don't worry, though, and have no fear. Unless they're going to jam ham radio, satellite radio, and other forms of old-fashioned communications. Right? There's a big spectrum of broadcast frequencies out there. All they have to do is get the information out, and it'll spread. It'll spread, folks. We'll find out what's going on. And the further they are from the truth, the more the politicians and mainstream media have to squeeze to try and shut it off. Understand that. Mainstream media, it's front and center on all of our TV screens. Mainstream media. All they had to do is tell us the truth, and we would continue to sit there. We'd check in once a day, twice a day, and look. They started lying to us. So we, the people, said, you know what? Let's use this internet thing to communicate with one another. Hell, I remember back in like 1994, sitting in my Jeep on the top of a mountain in Amador County, California. I just rolled up on the top. It was a cool summer evening. I popped the top on a non-alcoholic beverage, turned on my CB, and just started scanning the channels and listening to people talking. People have always wanted to have their own way to communicate independent of the mainstream media. And also have a group chat line. There would be dozens of people talking about varieties of different topics on CBs, citizens band radios. It was really interesting. There was cooking channels, there was fishing channels, there were hunting and gun channels. It's kind of like YouTube used to be, when you could go find what you wanted and just listen. Now everyone thinks they're a freaking expert on how to do it and what to talk about and who's telling the truth and who isn't. And if you belong to this group or that group, you're smarter than everyone else. We don't have that here. I'm not pretending to be smarter than anyone else in the room. We're just talking, sharing ideas, coming to our own conclusions, and not trying to punish anyone because they don't believe, right? If you want to believe, folks, in little green men operating and controlling Biden's thoughts with joysticks in space, it's cool, right? I'd love to see the evidence, but it's cool, right? It's no big deal. But to the mainstream media, to the United Nations, to the power brokers, folks, it is a big deal. They've got to control us. That means they have a story that is so unbelievable and so undesirable, right, that we won't tune into it, and they can't have that. All right, we got Kathleen checking in. She says, how will they control us if something takes the grid down for good? Talk about a catastrophe, right? Millions of cats, herds and herds of cats who are unherdable will be running left, right, up, down, back and forth. Controlling humans is tough, right? You think about it, we're all supposed to be adults, but we're actually like really big toddlers, all of us, right? When we're hungry, we demand food. When we're mad, we throw a fit. When we're tired, we take a happy nap. We don't pay attention very closely unless it's really, really important to us. You know, we're kind of like toddlers. I had a very, very good friend that I admired greatly. She was explaining that to me. how working with others is like working with toddlers. So the people who are best equipped, right, are preschool and kindergarten teachers. They're the best equipped to communicate, which makes sense. I really was able to communicate well with my sons back when they were toddlers, be that as it may, folks. Let me get back to Kathleen's question. How will they control us if they take down the grid for good? Now, they may turn the switch off, turn off the power, take us off the grid. The advantage there is we're punished. The disadvantage is they can no longer communicate with us by normal means and threaten us, coerce us, give us their version of events, right? Their best bet really to communicate with us and hurt our ability to communicate with one another, their best bet is to take down cell phones. That is our number one tool, cell phone communication, text messaging, folks. Half the shit I get is by text message every day. The other half is, of course, internet, email, and message services. Take down the internet, take down cell phones. We've got no choice. They can leave the grid up as long as they take those down. They can leave the power grid up, keep your refrigerator on, keep your popsicles cold. Right? Joe Biden can keep his ice cream cones nice and frozen there in the White House. They need to keep the grid on. Otherwise, they will have a catastrophe on the street with people going apeshit bonkers within days. In fact, in parts of Ukraine, they're now having people looting stores because they're scared. They can't get money. There's problems. You know, they don't want that here. They don't want cities being burned to the ground, neighborhoods destroyed, because that has value. And there are very rich bankers that own the mortgages on those houses. And they own stock in those electrical companies. And they make money off us buying their electricity, their gas, their goodies, etc. They don't want to lose all of that. They want to keep it in place and just control us. So what did they do? They said, we have cerveza bugs. Stay in your home. Consume. We'll send you money. Just keep consuming stuff. Right? Take the Jim Jones juice. That'll make you feel good too. All right, let's move on if we shall. Thank you, Kathleen. They don't want to take the grid down for good. Too risky, but they do want to control us. Sam says, Putin controlling Chernobyl was a very smart move. I agree. This is the justification Sam does for making that statement. He says, if Putin senses that he's going to lose somehow, he will melt the reactor, detonate a dirty reactor, and make the entire country unusable by NATO. You went a different direction than I thought here, Sam. I don't think Putin would do that. I don't think he is a diabolical bastard on that level to say that he's going to control Ukraine or nobody will. I don't look at Putin as a scorched earth kind of guy. I mean, it's possible. It really is. My worry was that Chernobyl was going to be used as a false flag and have a major detonation occur there and blame Putin for trying to ruin all of Ukraine, and then use the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, and use them to say, look what Putin did. He blew up Chernobyl. He disturbed all the soil. And we've got a radiation cloud that's going to kill the world. Hey, if that happens, go get those potassium iodide pills. Jolene, where's that link? Right, get the potassium iodide. Take it. Right, your body can get rid of radiation except in places it can store it. You don't want it to store it in your thyroid. So that's why you take the potassium iodide pills. Right? Your skin may get a little bit itchy. Your hair may fall out, but you can survive nuclear radiation. I'm not saying it's fun. Not saying I want to try it, just like I don't want to try the Jim Jones juice. I mean, who wants that? Who wants to try the Jim Jones juice? Anyone lining up? Anyone? Hey, folks, at the Prepared Mind channel, we take your health very seriously. That's why we recommend the Jim Jones juice. That's right, the Jim Jones juice. Get yourself a can today.
Just the friendly homes of America are always prepared for hospitality. Not only on Thanksgiving Day, but every day, all the year around, no matter who comes to call or who happens to drop in.
There's nothing like hitting the Jim Jones juice, laying one down, and feeling that stuff enter your bloodstream. Oh.
Did Bill leave his pop and candy only half eaten? No, sir.
Oh, heart attack. Defibrillator. Clot. Don't forget, call an ambulance when you get your Jim Jones juice, because it's that good.
Oh. I couldn't resist, folks. Yeah, I want nuclear radiation as much as I want the Jim Jones juice. But I'll tell you this, I'm being completely 100% honest with you. If my name wasn't John, I'd say I was being frank. But the only other options I have are Jim and Roger. And I did talk to them about doing a simul broadcast. So we'll see what I can put together there. Now, Jim Jones juice or radiation? I think I would rather be exposed to radiation from Chernobyl than the Jim Jones juice, because one would just make me sick. The other has the potential to make me sick, cripple me, give me terrible health, or just kill me. I'll stick with radiation. Thank you very much. We got Bonnie Blue checking in. Bonnie. She says this: whoever controls the media controls the country. This is proving accurate for both Russia and the United States of America. Their methods are similar. The methodology is very similar. In the Soviet Union, which was a socialist state, socialism, right? In the Soviet Union, they had one brand of news. And it was even called truth, pravda, truth. That's what they said they had. Unfreaking believable, right? Oh, so you're telling me that you've got the truth. Yeah, I'm buying that, right? What do we have here? Well, you've got Fox, NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, and they all have the same narrative. Russia bad. There are a few people that argue and counter it, question it maybe, but for the most part, we have Pravda in 8 different flavors. Russia had it in like 1 or 2, or Soviet Union, I should say. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't want it to be misunderstood. The best way to tell a lie is to sprinkle lots of truth in it, right? Because it makes it more believable, because someone who's weak-minded is going to latch on to the couple of truthful things and think, therefore, everything else in that sentence, everything else in that paragraph, everything else in that news story was also the truth, right? So you could show pictures of tanks rolling into a city and blasting shit to pieces. That could be true. There's footage of tanks blowing things to pieces. We can believe that. We saw it with our own eyes. When was the footage taken, and what city are they in? That's where the lie is, right? That's where the omission is, the misdirection. Kind of like that footage I saw of people running for their lives because the Russians are coming, when in fact it was a movie scene for some movie somewhere, right? There are so many right now deep fakes being put out, so many memes, so many. It used to be the mainstream media folks could take a picture. They had stock pictures, the same way you can go on the internet and you'll say you need a picture for your company, and you have access to Getty Images because you pay their royalties. And so you pick a picture out of Getty Images and you use it in your PowerPoint presentation or your video presentation you create. You just borrow these stock pictures. Well, the Associated Press and Reuters used to do the same thing. There are stock pictures out there, kids crying, worried dads, worried mothers, angry troops holding guns, right? They have stock pictures of that. And they used to just reuse them all the time. Kind of like the Wilhelm scream that has been used in dozens and dozens and dozens of movies. Look up Wilhelm scream, Wilhelm scream on YouTube. It's comical. I went down that rabbit hole one day. The original Wilhelm scream, and it's reused again and again and again. It was used in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. It was used in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was used, I believe, in Goonies. It's been used in huge movies, folks. Recycled again and again. It's just been there. It's a sound. It's an audio file. and they just play it over the top of the movie. And it's this dude going, ow! Right? It's a funny, and once you hear the Wilhelm scream, you'll know it. They use these pictures. They use these videos again and again and again. Just saying. All right, we got Chris Zarpis checks in. He says, we live in rural central southern Ohio and got gas yesterday at $3.16 a gallon. Is that a John reference, $3.16? He says, today it was $3.59. Look out, it's here. Uman sent a message around to the R Syndicate this morning, and also check out the rsyndicate.com. Let's make sure that's in the description down below, because that is a clearinghouse for all things prepping, except the most annoying among us. Anyways, yeah, gas has gone up, shot up, pow. Is there a shortage? Well, there's not gas lines. There's not lines around gas stations, but could that happen again? Folks, it happened in the 1970s when there wasn't a war going on. So it could happen today. Gas lines, shortages, massive increases, inflation. It's great that we can blame it on cerveza bug. We can blame it on Putin. We can blame it on Trump. But in all truth, Joe did that, right? Joe Biden goes, I did that. That's what he did, folks. I love that meme. I also like the Donald Trump one I saw on a gas pump last week. He just says, Biden did that, and he points at the price. It's some funny stuff, folks. You got to have a sense of humor. You have to have a prepared mind, right? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? And I'm glad you're here keeping up on current events, watching this SHTF scenario develop, because we've got more of it coming. Aren't you glad you are a prepper? And chance favors the prepared mind. Godspeed, Semper Fi, and God bless America.